You know, sometimes I wonder if there's like a shortcut to like
Oh, yeah.
unlocking our brain's full potential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Like a cheat code for your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you sent over this research on something called SAS Sensory Activation Solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And it claims it can help people learn better focus more, all through listening to sounds.
Interesting.
So that's what we're diving into today.
It's good to me.
We're taking a deep dive into this Science Behind SAS 2 document to see if this is like legit brain training or just some marketing hype.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you could just pop in some headphones and boost your brain power sounds amazing.
Right.
But obviously we want to look at the science.
For sure. So to start, what's the deal with this whole SAS thing?
The document you sent, it really emphasizes this concept of neuroplasticity. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've come across it before. It's basically the idea that our brains can change and adapt throughout our lives, right?
Exactly. It's not like our brains are set in stone after a certain age. Every time we learn something new, pick up a new skill, even just experience something new.
It's like rewiring those connections.
Yes. Our brain creates new pathways, strengthens existing ones, and that's what allows us to constantly learn and grow.
So where does SAS fit into all of this?
Well, SAS claims to harness the power of neuroplasticity, but instead of like traditional learning methods, they're using sound as the tool to drive those changes in the brain.
Okay, hold on. So instead of like cracking open a textbook or practicing a new language, they're saying just listen to these specific sounds and your brain will rewire itself.
That's the gist of it. The idea is that by carefully selecting and delivering these sounds, they can stimulate certain areas of the brain and potentially enhance different cognitive functions.
So like a brain workout, but for your ears.
Exactly.
So tell me more about these sounds. What are we talking about here?
So the research mentions this blend of music-speech tones, and they're delivered through headphones. But here's the really interesting part. It's all based on how our ears connect to our brains. You see, each ear primarily sends signals to the opposite side of the brain.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And SAS uses this by playing slightly different sounds in each ear. They're aiming for simultaneous stimulation of both hemispheres.
Wow. So it's like a cross-brain sound ping pong match happening in there.
You could say that.
I like it. Okay, so they've got these sounds. They're targeting different parts of the brain, but everyone's brain is different, right? So how do they personalize this SAS thing?
That's a really important point, and the document actually addresses that. They emphasize that SAS programs are highly customizable.
Okay, so it's not one-size-fits-all brain training.
Not at all. They can adjust the intensity of the sounds based on your needs. They use specific brainwave frequencies. And they even incorporate things like therapeutic stories, all tailored to what you're working on.
And they just gradually introduce new elements so you're not overwhelmed.
Exactly. It's like they ease you into it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's customized, it's gradual. Sounds pretty interesting. But let's get real here. Does this stuff actually work?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Because it all sounds amazing in theory. But
Right. We need to be grounded in the evidence. Exactly.
So the research claims there are these significant improvements in daily functioning after using SAS.
Like what kind of improvements?
That's where it gets a little vague. They don't go into a ton of detail.
Okay.
But we do know neuroplasticity is real. It's well established.
Right. Our brains are always changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we also know that sound can have a powerful impact on us. I mean, think about how music can calm you down, or how a sudden loud noise makes you jump.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no denying that.
So the foundation is there, but in terms of SAS being this magic bullet solution, more research is definitely needed.
So maybe don't cancel your gym membership or toss out your textbooks just yet. But I have to say, the idea that something as passive as listening to sounds could unlock our brain's potential, that's incredibly intriguing.
It really is. And it makes you think about all the other possibilities. What other simple interventions might be out there? If something like SAS can potentially help us learn faster or focus better, what other untapped potential are we missing? That's something to ponder, isn't it?
Definitely. It really makes you think.
Ah.
All right, well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining me on this fascinating exploration of SAS.
It was my pleasure.
And for our listeners, be sure to check back soon for our next episode, where we'll be tackling another cutting-edge topic. Stay curious.